Hi, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name is Nemo, and today I am going to be talking about my keloid. A keloid, for anyone who doesn't know, is a scar tissue usually from a piercing, but it could be from anything. And it's usually like in cartilage areas, so that's why it's often from piercing. Like nose piercings are prone to them. Piercings up here are prone to them. But in my case, mine's actually on my earlobe. So let me go ahead and show you what I'm talking about. It's this bump right here on my ear. It's not as big as it used to be. I will go ahead and insert pictures now of what it looked like at its biggest. So that's what it was before I started steroid injections. Steroid injections are completely necessary to get rid of them. There is no other solution. That's what you gotta do. So the way this happened is in 2014, for Christmas, I got these ear piercing, like mini guns, like cartridges that you can just put in yourself. My husband did one, my mother-in-law did the other. Put a third hole in each of my ears with those that year. So it's been like 6.5 years since the piercing that caused this. For some reason, these piercings, the third hole piercings that I had, did not want to heal right. They were there for like 6 months. I had them in, and they just continually hurt, and I had to keep cleaning, and I could pretty much tell they were infected, and I just couldn't clear it up no matter what I did. So I decided to just take the piercings out and let it close up, and I thought that would be the end of it, but it wasn't. So they closed up, and both of them initially had a bump of like scar tissue in them. So with this year, it gradually went down and shrunk until it just wasn't there. So as you can see, this year also had a third piercing, but there's nothing there. This year, however, the bump stayed, and originally it grew in the back first, and there was like almost nothing in the front, and it didn't bother me too bad because I just couldn't see it that much, so I figured other people weren't seeing it really. And then over time, it grew big, and then the front started to grow as well, and it just kept growing. So eventually I decided to research what was happening and look it up, and I finally came to the conclusion that it was a keloid. Originally, I thought it could be either a hypertrophic scar or a keloid, and I didn't know which it was at first. The difference between a hypertrophic scar and a keloid is that a hypertrophic scar will eventually go away, whereas a keloid will continue to grow until you do something about it, or unless you do something about it. Some people just let it grow and grow until it looks like basically a tumor. I mean, you can look up pictures, like if you Google it, you will see all kinds of pictures of ones that are way bigger and way more extreme than mine. Mine is pretty mild, even though I went several years without doing anything for it. Eventually, I finally went to a dermatologist, and she confirmed that it was a keloid. We started doing the steroid injections, and that did immediately start to help. It instantly stopped growing. It stopped itching and hurting because uh, keloids do itch, and sometimes they will like have a stinging pain, and I experienced both of that. The itching was uh, driving me nuts, and having to like scratch on this bump was very cringy. I hated touching it, and I hated looking at it. It eventually had gotten so big that I went as far as to start parting my hair on the opposite side than I normally do, to just try to cover it up, because I was just getting really self-conscious about it because it had gotten so big. Something I want to mention is that if you have a keloid and you still have the piercing in, there is hope. Don't take the piercing out. You need to clean it with tea tree oil. Salt water can clear it up and help it to go away without having to do anything extreme. My problem was that I had taken the piercing out, so it was closed up. There was nothing else I could do about that. So it's the steroid injections, and as well as the steroid injections, once it gets small enough, they can actually do a surgery to remove it. and then you have to do radiation treatments. Otherwise, it is still possible for it to come back even after the steroid injection and the surgical removal. And even then, it could still come back, but the chances are way less as long as you do the radiation treatment afterwards. In 2019, I did the steroid injections for 6 months, and it got to the point where my doctor said, okay, you can now do the surgery to get it removed and set up radiation. They called when we were to tell me this whenever I was on a trip in Disney World with my family, and obviously I wasn't in the space to like be calling and making appointments for stuff like that. And not only that, it was really overwhelming to me to try to, because I had to talk to several different doctors about this to like coordinate the surgery and then the radiation treatment afterwards. And I was overwhelmed, and I have a lot of anxiety about calling, and even just making appointments for stuff can be like paralyzing, which I know that sounds stupid to some people, but I know a lot of people understand what I mean by that. So that's just how it was. And so after that, I ended up going almost 2 more years without doing anything about it. I just stopped getting the injections and started to let it grow again. It took a year before it started to grow back, but it eventually did, because that's what they do. They're stubborn. So I finally called and made an appointment with the doctor that I had been seeing for it before, explained to her that I never like went through with the surgical removal and all that. And so I recently got my first injection done again a few weeks ago, and I'm going to be going monthly again until it's once again small enough to remove, which won't take as long as last time, I expect, because it has not grown back to the size of it how it was before I first started doing the injections 2 years ago. So I will just kind of probably document how that goes, but I was not able to record when I got the injections this last time. I wanted to do that so y'all can kind of see the process, but she did allow me to get pictures, so I do have a few pictures that I will show now. I will warn you that if you are sensitive to seeing needles being stuck in people, you won't want to see these pictures, so just kind of like avert your eyes until I'm back on here talking. So that's fun. Not really, but it's not that bad. Before I started getting the injections, I was really nervous because everything I read, people were saying that it was a horrible pain, it was burning and bad, and for me, it's just not that bad. My doctor has a numbing solution in her injections. I don't know if that's typical or not, but that's what she does, and it's just not as painful as it probably looks, or maybe it is for some people, and I'm sure it varies from person to person. I don't have a high pain tolerance, I don't have a low pain tolerance, I'm kind of right in the middle, so take that for what you will if you're watching this to kind of find out what that's like. I will say ask your doctor about having a numbing solution with the steroids and see if that's a possibility that they could do for you. So that's where I'm at now. I will say that I do believe it's preventable, because with my nose piercing, I was really nervous about getting another one because it's really common in nose piercings, and since I already have this one on my ear, I know that I am like in some way prone to keloids. I was getting a bump there at first, and I think it would have been a keloid had I not like taken the proper steps. And I'm spraying H2O saltwater solution on my nose and on the inside as well, inside and outside, and then also going over it with a Q-tip with tea tree oil. And doing that, the bump went away and it's completely healed up now. So I think I'm in the clear for my nose, but yeah, that's that's kind of it. So I will just document once I'm approved for surgery and radiation how that goes and how it looks and just how that all goes down. So I'm determined this time. I'm gonna get rid of it. It's gonna be gone, and hopefully I can just ensure it stays gone. I hope you learned something from this video or got some useful information, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.